missing for 4 days. No food, no water, temperatures below freezing. When we found her, she'd gained weight and refused to tell us where she'd been. The other 2 said the same thing. I can't remember. These aren't your average missing hiker stories. These are documented search and rescue recoveries where the victims came back alive, but something about them had changed. Their physical condition didn't match the time they were gone. Their statements were inconsistent. And they all shared the same eerie pattern. They couldn't, or wouldn't, say where they'd been. Tonight, you'll hear 3 true national park disappearance cases where the hikers were found alive, but maybe not the same. Case 1, she came back heavier. Location, Rocky Mountain National Park, Colorado. Date, February 2021. Witnesses, park rangers and SR Unit Bravo. Duration missing, 4 days. The call came in on February 12th. A solo hiker, Emily Thorne, age 29, last seen near the Flattop Mountain Trailhead. Experienced in cold weather trekking. Her friend said she'd left a GPS ping and texted, "Trail's icy but clear, back by sundown." She never came back. Search teams mobilized at dawn. Helicopters, snowmobiles, ground units. Temperatures dropped to 19 degrees Fahrenheit overnight. Day 1, tracks followed 2 miles up, then vanished on a wind-scoured ridge. Day 2, dogs lost scent entirely. Day 3, blizzard conditions. SAR assumed recovery, not rescue. Day 4, she walked into Aspen Creek Campground, barefoot, wearing the same clothes she'd vanished in. But she wasn't hypothermic. She wasn't dehydrated. She'd gained 7 pounds since her medical record from the previous week. When Ranger Tom Wilkins met her at the first aid tent, she smiled. "I told you I'd be fine." Her vitals were perfect, normal blood pressure, no frostbite, but she had elevated glucose levels, like someone who'd been eating regularly. Wilkins asked, "Where were you?" Emily stared at him. "I don't know." Later, in her official statement, she said she'd followed lights in the trees after the snow started. She remembered warmth, a shelter, a humming sound, then waking up near the trailhead. SAR checked the coordinates she described. No shelters, no lights, no footprints. Psych evaluation came back, lucid, evasive. When pressed, Emily said, "I don't want to remember. I just know I wasn't supposed to be cold." Rangers noted her reluctance, and one final detail, her smartwatch log. At 2:43 a.m. on the second night, it recorded a sustained heart rate of 48 BPM, extremely low near sleep levels. Location data, 5.6 miles northeast, in an area with no known caves, cabins, or structures. That night, Ranger Wilkins returned to the site with 2 others. They reported ground temperature 20 degrees Fahrenheit higher than ambient, and faint impressions in the snow. Not boot prints, not animal tracks. Just shallow, wide depressions, like something pressed upward from below. When they returned the next day, the snow was smooth. Emily left the park a week later, moved to another state. When a journalist called her 6 months afterward, she answered only once. "I'm fine," she said, "just don't go looking for where I was." Case 2. He spoke a language none of us knew. Location, Crater Lake National Park, Oregon. Date, July 2022. Witnesses, Ranger Unit Delta, civilian camper reports. Duration missing, 3 days. On July 9, 2022, Daniel Sue, a 34-year-old photojournalist, disappeared while shooting sunset footage along the Garfield Peak Trail. He was last seen descending the ridge around 8:45 p.m. Search and rescue began the next morning. Clear weather, no avalanche danger, full resources deployed. Drone scans detected nothing. K-9 units lost scent 0.6 miles from the trail. At 6:20 a.m. on day 4, a couple camping near Annie Creek heard someone shouting in the forest. They found Daniel, sitting cross-legged near the tree line, eyes open, unblinking, whispering softly. They said he was speaking a language that didn't sound real. When SAR reached him, Daniel didn't resist. He smiled, like he recognized them. But every question got the same response, almost done. At the medical tent, he was responsive but incoherent. Body temperature, normal, no dehydration. But blood work showed trace elements of copper and silica in the bloodstream, unusual for human ingestion. Ranger Linda Chen interviewed him later that night. She described his tone as like someone trying to recall a dream they don't own. Her transcript reads, Chen, do you remember being lost? Shu, not lost, shown. Chen, shown what? Shu, how it ends. He then started reciting what sounded like GPS coordinates. The numbers repeated across multiple interviews. When plotted, they formed a spiral pattern extending 12 miles beyond the park boundary into federal restricted land. FB, I was notified. No official comment since. Weeks later, Daniel's family released a statement saying he'd been diagnosed with temporary psychosis due to, quote, exposure stress. But Chen's report includes an unaired note. He responded to words in an unknown dialect, but only when spoken in playback of his own voice from field recordings. Audio analysis later revealed the language was inverted English, phonemes spoken backward, structured like mirror speech. The last thing Daniel said before being transferred to Portland General Hospital was caught on a ranger's body cam. I'm not supposed to tell. They're still showing someone else. He hasn't spoken publicly since. Case 3. The kids said it was beautiful down there. Location, Yosemite National Park, California. Date, May 2023. Witnesses, family, SAR Alpha, Psychological Unit. Duration missing, 2 days. Memorial Day weekend, Yosemite. 2 siblings, Ella 10 and Max 8, vanished from a family campsite near Bridal Veil Creek. Parents said they were playing near the tree line at 4 p.m. 1 minute they were visible, the next, gone. Search began immediately. Over 80 personnel, thermal drones, helicopters. Temperatures dropped into the 40s at night. Rangers expected the worst. At 6:12 a.m. on day 3, both children were found walking hand in hand along the service road, clean, calm, uninjured. They said they were coming back from the light. Medical checks showed no signs of exposure or dehydration. Blood sugar, heart rate, all normal. Their shoes were spotless, like they'd been indoors. When a child psychologist asked what had happened, Ella said, "We followed the man in the orange coat. He said he'd show us the quiet place." Max nodded. "He said it was beautiful down there." "Down where?" Neither child could explain. Later that day, Park Ranger James Denton led a team to retrace their steps. 1 mile south of the campsite, they found a sinkhole, about 6 feet wide, freshly opened. Inside, smooth rock walls, perfectly circular. Denton dropped a flare. It burned for 8 seconds, then extinguished midair, as if swallowed. He radioed back, "We're not climbing in. It's not stable." By noon, the hole had partially collapsed. By dusk, it was gone, refilled by soil and pine debris, like it had sealed itself. When Denton debriefed the parents, Ella interrupted. "Don't dig there," she said. "He isn't like that." Neither child would elaborate. A week later, Denton reviewed the drone footage from their recovery. Infrared, taken hours before they were found. The thermal camera showed 2 small heat signatures emerging from the tree line, but not walking. They appeared to rise, vertically, from below ground level. The footage ends abruptly when the drone battery cuts out. SAR report was marked resolved. Unofficial notes read, "Subjects physically recovered, psychologically incomplete. The parents relocated. The children stopped camping." And when a journalist tried to interview Ella for a book last year, she said only one sentence: "We weren't lost, we were chosen." 3 different parks. 3 different seasons. 3 people found alive when they shouldn't have been. Emily came back heavier, healthier, evasive. Daniel came back fluent in something backward, whispering coordinates to nowhere. Ella and Max came back from below, saying it was beautiful down there. All were found in areas previously searched. All exhibited perfect vital signs. All refused or were unable to describe where they'd been. SART teams call these cases the recovered. They're rare, but not unheard of. In ranger databases, they share one coded tag: returned, non-compliant. Because recovery isn't the same as rescue. And whatever these people experienced, wherever they were, they didn't come back empty. They came back changed. Something in the wilderness isn't just taking people, it's returning them. But it's returning them wrong. So when you hear about another hiker who vanished and miraculously reappeared days later, smiling, unhurt, saying they don't remember, remember this: some disappearances are mysteries, but some returns are warnings.